All praise to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakaha, Kwadash. Double honors to my elders, apostles, and the bishops of Great Millstone, where I've learned this truth, and shalom to the sincere followers of this truth. All right, to the sincere. Go look up the word sincere because that is important. That is not just mentioned just as a word, just like any of these words. You're supposed to go find the etymology of the word. All right, and I'm going to speak on that for a minute at the beginning of today's video, but I did want to speak on, um, you know, me being just human still. All right, we all are just human. Okay, we are growing in the spirit though. Us, as far as the remnant. Okay, the elect. Um, Lord willing, I'm of that number. We are growing in the spirit, right? But I made a mistake on on a few videos where I titled it I started out and I titled it Lost Identity for part 1. And then for part 2 and 3, uh I titled it with the lowest class, right? Which all 3 videos were supposed to be titled Lost Identity, proving that where I showed, or where it was shown that in the scriptures the Israelites would be separated from their heritage and their identity, okay? And that is biblical, all right? The people over there in the land that call themselves Israelis or Jews, right? They say that they've always known who they are. Actually, the world says that they've always known that these are the people of the Lord, all right? But they do not fit prophecy, which, Lord willing, I will go into that um, subject matter in the next lesson, of who fits the prophecy, the identity, and the prophecies of Esau, Edom. Okay, but for now, I'm gonna fix this title on the previous videos, and also we're gonna finish up with a part 4. This is gonna be called "Teach Exactly What You Were Taught." Um, uh, Lost Identity and the lowest class. Okay, so now speaking on the importance of researching these words, um, before I get into the main lesson, I did want to read the prologue of Ecclesiasticus in the Apocrypha and in the Good News translation, but not the whole prologue. All right, if you want to go back and read the whole prologue, that would be a good idea. Okay, to read the whole thing, but I'm gonna, for the sake of going straight to the point, I'm going to read a part of the prologue, all right, which will point to how important studying is. Okay, as a matter of fact, before I even read the prologue, let's get that scripture on studying. Okay, let's see. I think it's Second Timothy chapter 2, but let me see. Uh, Study. All right. So this is Second Timothy chapter 2 and verse 15 in the King James. It says, "Study to show thyself approved unto God, a workman that needeth not to be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth." Okay, and that word God, all right, whom the people ignorantly, whom the world, all right, the world outside of the remnant, all right, whom the world ignorantly called God, his name, we know it to be, the remnant know it to be for a fact. His name is Yahweh, okay? And his son, the only begotten son, whom the world, okay, outside of the remnant, okay, the world calls the Messiah and the only begotten son, they call him Jesus, all right? That is not his name. His name is Yahweh Shai, all right? They have Hebrew names, all right? Hebrew names, okay? Now in the NLT, 2 Timothy chapter 2, verse 15, the heading says, an approved worker, okay? It reads, work hard so you can present yourself to God and receive his approval. Be a good worker, one who does not need to be ashamed and who correctly explains the word of truth. All right. Let's see what that says in the Good News translation. 2 Timothy chapter 2 and verse 15. And it reads, do your best to win full approval in God's sight as a worker who is not ashamed of his work, one who correctly teaches the message of God's truth. Okay? All right, so now the prologue in Ecclesiasticus in the Apocrypha, which is a part of the Testament that we know as the Bible, all right? That is one testament, and it includes the Apocrypha, okay? Us as the remnant, we should know, okay, that this is all one testament, even though it's labeled as old, new, and now even the Apocrypha, because they pulled out the Apocrypha, okay? All right, the so-called kings of the earth, okay? All right, they have pulled out the Apocrypha, all right, and but this is all one testament, all right? That's all this is, one testament. So let's go to Ecclesiasticus in the Apocrypha, and it's also known as Sirach, okay, the book of Sirach, all right? So I'm going to go here in the middle of the prologue, and it reads, let me see, where do I want to start? Okay, it reads, wherefore let me entreat you to read it with favor and attention, and to pardon us wherein we may seem to come short of some words which we have labored to interpret. For the same things uttered in Hebrew and translated into another tongue have not the same force in them. And not only these things, but the law itself and the prophets and the rest of the books have no small difference when they are spoken in their own language. All right. So that is speaking to, you need to know these things in the Hebrew if you're speaking of things in the Old Testament. And in the New Testament, you have to know these words, the etymology, okay, of these things in the Greek. Okay. Right now we read these things in English, all right, and they give somewhat of an idea but to get the full gist of what was meant um, in these scriptures, you have to go back to the original language. Okay. Now let's see what it says in the Good News Translation for what I just read there in Ecclesiasticus, all right? Otherwise known as Sirach, okay? All right, and it reads, this is a Good News Translation. It says, let me urge you then to read this book carefully and with an open mind. And please be patient in those places where, in spite of all my diligent efforts, I may not have translated some phrases very well. What was originally written in Hebrew does not always have exactly the same sense when it is translated into another language. Okay? That is true not only of this book, but even of the law itself, the prophets, and the other books. The translations differ quite a bit from the original. All right? So when you ask, how do we know the Lord's name is not Jesus and his Father's name is not God? All right? That gives you a clue. You need to go look into things. All right? All right? And the more you will see, even though things were added to and taken from these scriptures, that when you go back and research, you'll be able to see those things, all right, clearly. And you'll be able to know what is the truth of what is supposed to be there or what is not supposed to be there, all right? So now let's go ahead and get on with the lesson. So again, this lesson is in the Teach Exactly What You Were Taught series. This is part 4 on the topic of lost identity and the lowest class, all right? Which is wild that it ended up being this way because, the lost identity, that happened, and then we became the lowest class, all right? And that's what this last video is really going to touch on, is the lowest class part of this lesson, all right? Let me get to it. And like I said, Lord willing, we will go into who matches the prophecies of Esau, Edom, all right? Man, where is it at? Okay, all right. Now, let's start in Galatians. Galatians chapter 6 and verse 17, okay? And again, this is the lowest class section of the video, which is titled Lost Identity and the Lowest Class, okay? So Galatians chapter 6 and verse 17. All right, and it reads, from henceforth, let no man trouble me, for I bear in my body the marks of the Lord Yahushai. All right. In the NLT, it reads, from now on, don't let anyone trouble me with these things, for I bear on my body the scars that show I belong to Yahushai. All right. Now let's go to the good news and see what it says. All right, Galatians chapter 6 and verse 17. And it reads, to conclude, let no one give me any more trouble, because the scars I have on my body show that I am the slave of Yahushai. Okay. So the word marks, let me read that again in the King James, just so that we know exactly what I'm talking about. Galatians chapter 6 and verse 17. From henceforth let no man trouble me, for I bear in my body the marks of the Lord Yahushai. Okay. So the word marks, all right, is different than the one in Revelation 13 and 16, where the warning is about the micro C hip, all right? So the word marks in Galatians 6 is different than the mark that's in Revelation 13 and 16, okay? But it's the same idea, all right? They are, they're synonymous with each other. They're not the same thing, though. So the word means stigma, 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 okay? Stigma is also in Revelation 13 and 18. So let me read that to you. All right. Revelation 13, verse 18. All right. It reads, this is King James Version. It reads, here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 636. Okay. When you hear score, that's 20. Okay. So 60 is 60. All right. So 606 and 6. All right. 666. Now, again, let me read the NLT and then the good news, and then I'll go back to explain, to pick up on the point that we're headed towards. So, Revelation 13 and 18 in the NLT. Wisdom is needed here. Let the one with understanding solve the meaning of the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man. His number is 666. All right. And the good news, Revelation 13 and 18. It reads, this calls for wisdom. Whoever is intelligent can figure out the meaning of the number of the beast. Because the number stands for the name of someone, its number is 666. All right. So stigma is in this verse. All right. The last 6 is stigma. All right. So if you look back if you go research, right, and look back at 636, it is Chi Psi stigma. All right. As you can hear, that stigma is that last 6. All right. Stigma. Okay. So the marks in Galatians 6 and 17, okay, when it says, from henceforth let no man trouble me, for I bear in my body the marks of the Lord Yahushai. All right, the marks in that verse, the root word for that marks, the word marks in that verse means to stick or prick. All right, it's basically a brand. All right, it's a in that case it is a spiritual brand. It's called a Thawa. All right, and then the the that's what we have spiritually now. Okay, on our foreheads. All right, if we are of that number. Okay, we have the Lord's name, which is the Thawa, his branding. All right, on our spirit is the Thawa. Now, but in this time and place on this earth, in this wicked kingdom, okay, who gets brands? Who gets or receives brandings? Slaves do. Okay, just like in the spirit, um, the Lord's name, the Thawa, that's a branding. Okay, it's a spiritual one. But in this world, in this wicked kingdom, okay, who gets brandings? Slaves do, okay? This is what people in power want to do to you. They want to give you a brand. And that's what that verse in Revelation 13 and 16 is warning you about. 16 through 18, okay? So now, if you search in Google, if you go to Google, and search who receives brandings, who receives brandings, okay? Uh, let me look. I'm scrolling down. Okay. You can search who receives brandings, and I'm gonna end up reading this, so I'm gonna just let you go ahead and search that up, and then you can also search why do people get branded, okay? All right. Both of these things really are going to take you to human branding. Just go to wiki and or type in human branding and then go to the wiki. It should be the top thing that pops up. All right. That might look backwards, so there's no point in me showing you. But just go to the human branding Wikipedia, okay? Now this is gonna touch on why this lesson is called the lowest class. All right. I'll read some of this for you. All right, this is from Wikipedia on the subject of human branding. All right. It says human branding or stigmatizing. All right, remember stigma, okay? Is a process by which a mark, usually a symbol or ornamental pattern, is burned into the skin of a living person with the intention that the resulting scar makes it permanent. This is performed using a hot or very cold branding iron. All right. So this speaks of branding as far as hot iron, but it's also a stigmatizing or a marking. All right. And this marking will come by way of that micro C hip that's mentioned in Revelation 13. Okay, 13, 16 through 18. All right. Which that marking will also be a way to identify you electronically. All right. So now I want to go to just to show you there are other translations of the scriptures that mention this branding. All right. So right here I have the English Septuagint. All right, and every translation can go off. All right, you have to have some kind of foundation because the craftiness of these people is a powerful thing. All right, so don't let it throw you off. Get your foundation. All right. So let's go to 3rd Maccabees chapter 2 and verse 29. All right, 3rd Maccabees chapter 2 and verse 29. And it reads, let me see. Okay. And it reads, and those who are enrolled shall also be branded by fire on the body with the ivy leaf marking of Dionysus and assigned before to their former limited status. Limited status. Who has limited status? Slaves do, right? All right. So now that was the Septuagint, right? Let's try something else now. Let's go to the NRSA translation, all right, of 3rd Maccabees chapter 2 verse 29, all right? And it reads, "Every place detected sheltering a Jew is to be made unapproachable and burned with fire, and shall become useless for all time." Wait, what is this? Hold on now. That wasn't it. Let me go here. Hold on. 3rd Maccabees chapter 2 verse 29 in the NRSA Bible, okay? It says verse 29. It says, "Those who are registered are also to be branded on their bodies by fire with the ivy leaf symbol of Dionysus, and they shall also be reduced to their former limited status." All right, so it mentioned branding again on the bodies and limited status, slaves. All right, now let's go to the CEBA Bible, okay, which is, hold on now, the RSVA is the Revised Standard Version with the Apocrypha. That's what the A is, okay? Revised Standard Version. All right, now we're going to the CEBA, which is the Common English Bible with the Apocrypha. All right. All right, now let's see. And it reads in the CEBA, 3rd Maccabees, chapter 2, verse 29. It says, "Those who are registered are to be branded on the body by fire with the ivy leaf sign of Dionysus, and are also to be assigned to their former limited civic status." All right. Again, brandings on the body and the limited civic status, speaking of slaves. All right. Now, I think I read all of those. It didn't seem like it. I read those already, but the SEBA, the NSRA, and the RSVA, right? Did I do the RSVA? Yeah, I'll read it again, just in case I didn't. So, this is 3rd Maccabees chapter 2, verse 29 in the RSVA, okay? "Those who are registered are also to be branded on their bodies by fire with the ivy leaf symbol of Dionysus, and they shall also be reduced to their former limited status." All right. So now keep in mind while we're listening to this, okay, that the WEF, one of their slogans now, which is, WEF is World Economic Forum, okay. Uh, Keep in mind that one of their slogans now that's pretty popular is "You will own nothing and you will be happy." All right. This is where we are headed. Okay. And these are the people who are pushing this. Now keep that in mind. All right. So now let's go back to the human branding Wikipedia. Okay. All right. Human branding. Now, if you scroll up, okay, and click on that historical use, that drop tab, okay? Historical use. All right. I'm going to read some of this. I'm going to show you this picture because it doesn't matter if that's backwards, okay? That picture says branding of a naked enslaved woman, okay? In Africa. Okay, that's what it says right there. That's what a picture of that was. All right. So let me read a little bit of this to you. It says the origin may be the ancient treatment of a slave, often without legal rights, as livestock. Okay. All right. Now I'm gonna read a little bit more to you. It says European American. All right. And other colonial slavers branded millions of slaves during the period of the Atlantic slave trade. Sometimes there were several brandings. For the Portuguese crown and the private owners, an extra cross after baptism, as well as by African slave catchers. Okay, so it said after baptism. It sounds like that might have been forceful, right? An extra cross after baptism. Okay, so ancient Romans. It says marked runaway slaves with the letters FVG or FUG for fugitivus. All right, or fugitive. Okay, all right. So you can go ahead and go to this page and let me see. Yeah, I'll read this part right here. It says, in criminal law, branding with a hot iron was a mode of punishment consisting of marking the subject as if goods or animals, sometimes concurrently with their reduction of status in life. Remember that limited status? Okay. Uh, Let me see. All right, yeah. So you can go there, go to human branding, the wiki, and you can read. You can read. You can read some of those things. But here's some more. Some more pictures. I don't know how good these pictures are going to show up, but there's a lot. There's a lot of information in here. Okay. All right. So okay. So people will be livestock. All right. Now let's go to Revelation 18. Revelation 18, verses 11 through 13. Okay, this is what I'm going to read. Revelation 18. All right. Revelation 18, verses 11 through 13 in the King James. Okay. So 11, it reads, and the merchants of the earth shall weep. This is speaking of after Babylon the Great's destruction, which is America. If you didn't know, Babylon Great in the scriptures is speaking of America. All right. And it will be destroyed. All right. Completely destroyed. All right. The only ones making it out of America is the remnant of Israel. Okay. Everyone else is going to be wiped out, man. So if you are not an Israelite, okay, if you are not the 1/3 of Israel that is going to get uh, taken up out of this place, you are going to get melted. All right, you are going to die here. All right. So again, Revelation 18 and 11. And the merchants of the earth shall weep and mourn over her. Who is her? Babylon the Great. All right. Okay. The daughter of Babylon. All right. For no man buyeth their merchandise anymore. All right. After this place is destroyed, all these places aren't gonna. All these other nations, all these other merchants aren't gonna have any place to buy everything that is sold here now. There's a lot of things that are sold here now. All right. Verse 12. or actually, speaking of verse 11, the merchants will weep because they will not be able to get rich anymore also. A lot of people get rich off of this place, all right? So verse 12, actually, let me read that 11 in the NLT. It says, the merchants of the world will weep and mourn for her, for there is no one left to buy their goods. All right, let's see what it says in the Good News. Revelation 18 and 11 in the Good News translation. It reads, the merchants of the earth also cry and mourn for her, because no one buys their goods any longer. All right. Now let's go on to verse 12 in the King James. It says, the merchandise of gold and silver and precious stones and of pearls and fine linen and purple and silk and scarlet and all Thyine wood and all manner vessels of ivory and all manner vessels of most precious wood and of brass and iron and marble. All right. In the NLT, it says she bought great quantities of gold, silver, jewels, and pearls, fine linen, purple, silk, and scarlet cloth, things made of fragrant Thyine wood, ivory goods, and objects made of expensive wood, and bronze, iron, and marble. All right, again, Revelation 18 and 12 in the Good News translation. It reads, no one buys their gold. Speaking of the merchants, all right. No one buys their gold any longer. Or wait, hold on. No one buys their gold, silver, precious stones, and pearls, their goods of linen, purple cloth, silk, and scarlet cloth, all kinds of rare woods, and all kinds of objects made of ivory and of expensive wood, of bronze, iron, and marble. Okay, so if you look throughout the United States, okay, if you look throughout the United States, you will find all of these things, okay, that were listed, okay. In New York City alone, all right, they have something called the wholesale district, all right. In this place, the wholesale district, all right, it has all of these things from the lowest to the highest grade, okay, of each thing, all right. It has everything there. And that's just in that's just in New York City alone. All right. So now let's read verse 13 in the King James. It says, Revelation 18 and 13, it says, and cinnamon and odors and ointments and frankincense and wine and oil and fine flour and wheat and beasts and sheep and horses and chariots and slaves and souls of men. All right. In the NLT, Revelation 18 and 13, she also bought cinnamon, spice, incense, myrrh, frankincense, wine, olive oil, fine flour, wheat, cattle, sheep, horses, chariots, and bodies. That is, human slaves. All right. And then the Good News translation, verse 13, Revelation 18 and 13. And cinnamon, spice, incense, myrrh, and frankincense, wine and oil, flour and wheat, cattle and sheep, horses and carriages, slaves, and even human lives. So this is all a part of the system. All right. When reading the 47th chapter of Genesis, this deals with the famine in Egypt. Okay. The people ran out of money, so they sold their cattle. All right. When they ran out of cattle, they sold their land. When they ran out of land, they sold themselves into slavery. Okay. Therefore, being reduced to the lowest class. If you look around you, that's where everything is headed. Okay. But the Israelites are the main target of this. Okay. Uh, the kings of the earth, they will kill the world they will try and kill the world just to have a chance at killing the Israelites. All right. But it's not going to happen. All right. So, as we read in 3rd Maccabees 2 and 29, you read that again. It says, and those who are enrolled shall be branded by fire on the body with the ivy leaf marking of Dionysus and assigned before to their former limited status. All right. So as we read right there, these people were set apart with limited rights, slaves. All right. This is the reason for the branding. All right. Now let's go to Genesis and let's read a little bit of 47. A few verses in that. All right. Let's go to verse 15. All right. Now keep in mind, this is talking about back in Egypt. Okay. But listen to these words, knowing that it's back in Egypt, but also speaking of right now. Okay. So Genesis 47 and 15. And when money failed in the land of Egypt, the dollar is dying here. Okay. All these monies are getting pushed out because something else is coming. All right. Again, Genesis 47 and 15 in the King James. It says, and when money failed in the land of Egypt and in the land of Canaan, all the Egyptians came unto Joseph and said, give us bread, for why should we die in thy presence? For the money faileth. All right. NLT, Genesis chapter 47 and 15. When the people of Egypt and Canaan ran out of money, all the Egyptians came to Joseph. Our money is gone, they cried. But please give us food or we will die before your very eyes. All right. And the good news, Genesis 47 and 15. It reads, when all the money in Egypt and Canaan was spent, the Egyptians came to Joseph and said, give us food. Don't let us die. Do something. Our money is all gone. All right. Let's jump down to 18 now. Genesis 47 and 18. It reads, when that year was ended, they came unto him the second year and said unto him, we will not hide it from my Lord, how that our money is spent. My Lord also hath our herds of cattle. There is not aught left in the sight of my Lord, but our bodies and our lands. All right, the NLT, Genesis 47 and 18. But that year ended, and the next year they came again and said, we cannot hide the truth from you, my Lord. Our money is gone, and all our livestock and cattle are yours. We have nothing left to give but our bodies and our land. All right. So you have to be able to see what's happening today. All right. How it ties to this time in Egypt. All right. Even the part where it says, "We cannot hide the truth from you, my Lord." They're already coming up with ways to be able to track your spending, all of it. Okay, all of it. You're not going to be able to hide what you are spending, money wise. Okay, you are not going to be able to hide it. All right, and then they're buying up the land. Okay, buying up the land left and right. That's being suppressed in the news. Okay, killing off a lot of cattle. All right, they are trying to become uh, your Lord and Savior. You already go to them for clothing, your roof over your head, food. We're buying water these days. All right. Okay. So now let's go. Let's go ahead and move on to 19. I don't want to get too far off into something else. So Genesis 47 and verse 19 in the King James. Or wait, hold on. Let's do Genesis 47 and 18 in the Good News. It reads, the following year, they came to him and said, "We will not hide the fact from you, sir, that our money is all gone and our livestock belongs to you. There is nothing left to give you except our bodies and our lands." All right. Now, let's go on to verse 19. Genesis 47 and 19. It reads, "Wherefore shall we die before thine eyes, both we and our land? Buy us and our land for bread, and we and our land will be servants unto Pharaoh, and give us seed that we may live and not die, that the land be not desolate." Genesis 47 and 19 in the NLT. "Why should we die before your very eyes? Buy us and our land in exchange for food. We offer our land and ourselves as slaves for Pharaoh. Just give us grain so we may live and not die, and so the land does not become empty and desolate." In the Good News, Genesis 47 and 19, it reads, "Don't let us die. Do something. Don't let our fields be deserted. Buy us and our land in exchange for food. We will be the king's slaves, and he will own our land. Give us grain to keep us alive and seed so that we can plant our fields." All right. So these are likened to the system that is working today. All right. Where we are being turned into the lowest class. They are trying to become the Lord and Savior. All right. And everything is repeating itself. Okay. Now hold on. Let me get this. Hold on. Okay. This is Ecclesiastes 1. All right. And I'll start at 10, okay? Actually, I'll read 9 through 11. So Ecclesiastes chapter 1, verses 9 through 11 says, "The thing that hath been, it is that which shall be, and that which is done is that which shall be done, and there is no new thing under the sun. Is there anything whereof it may be said, See, this is new? It hath already been of old time, which was before us. There is no remembrance of former things, neither shall there be any remembrance of things that are to come with those that shall come after." All right, this is speaking of reincarnation. All right, but it's not just spirits of people. It's not as small as spirits of people. It's spirits of people, but it doesn't stop there. It's spirits of nations. All right, so the spirit that was back there in Israel when it came to this particular situation is what I mean in Egypt, excuse me, is here now. The spirit of Rome, all right, back in Rome, it is here now. Okay, um, uh, Egypt in the scriptures is known as can also be known as bondage. All right, okay, and you already know what the spirit of Sodom is, right? That's here in America. All right, the spirit of Rome. All right, that's here in America. Okay. Uh, so yeah, that is the lesson in lost identity. All right, which is biblical, and the lowest class, which is also biblical. All right, when we lost our identity, we became low, the lowest class even. All right. Now, I think I've done a few lessons on. There's a few lessons on this channel that speaks to, or at least points somewhat at who the Israelites are. Okay. So Lord willing, the next lesson we will start looking at the prophecies of Esau, or who fits the prophecies of Esau. Who is Esau Edom? All right. Which I'll tell you now, Esau Edom is the so-called white man. Okay. If not, then who and where is he? All right. And we'll piece that together in this next lesson. We'll go over that in this next lesson. All right. Through the scriptures, we'll filter everything through the scriptures, which is what you're supposed to do. All right. But with that, I'm going to say all praise to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakaha Kodash. Double honors to my elders, apostles, and bishops of Great Millstone, where I have learned this truth and where I am learning this truth. All right. And shalom to the sincere. All right. The sincere. Let me look that word up real quick. All right. See what that says. All right, here we go. It says, free from pretense or deceit, proceeding from genuine feelings. Okay. Yo, look at this. This example says they offer their sincere thanks to Paul. So do I. Shalom, Paul, right? Apostle Paul. Okay. The next one says, of a person saying what they genuinely feel or believe, not dishonest or hypocritical. All right. Let me see what this says down here. All right. It says, what does it mean to describe someone as sincere, honest, of a person, feelings, or behavior? Okay. It says, not pretending or lying, honest. Okay. A sincere apology. Okay. He seems so sincere. All right. The opposite of sincere is insincere. Okay. Uh, okay. I like this one. How can you tell if someone is sincere? All right. Uh, gives an example. Says when someone asks you how you're doing and truly waits for and listens to your answer, it's a sign that they genuinely care. All right. They are willing to spend their time and energy to understand. Okay. It says to understand you better, but that's a good one to understand. All right. Let's see. All right. Yeah, I'm gonna just leave it there, but I'm just tell you that it's gonna bring up another scripture. All right. Uh, probably won't be able to find it here. Let me see. I'm gonna tell you that the men of the Lord, all right, for the most part, they can tell when someone is being sincere, and it's easy to spot insincere people from a mile away. Okay, you can see them thinking. Okay, you can see them thinking. All right. Um, but even if they don't, okay, even if you get over, okay, even if you think you've gotten over on the Lord's men, just know that whatever you do to the Lord's men, that you're doing to the Lord. All right. So even if you get past them being insincere, okay, even if you think you got over them by being sly or slick, just know. Let me read this. Let me read this for you. Let me read this for you. It's in the Apocrypha. Let me see. Now, if you are not sincere, if you are insincere, all right, let's go to, well, it's in Ecclesiasticus, all right, chapter 23 and verse 19. All right, listen to this. This is where you insincere people, all right, that think that you have been slick or sly and made it past the eyes of the lords of the men of the Lord. All right, Ecclesiasticus 23 and 19. It reads, "Such a man only feareth the eyes of men, and knoweth not that the eyes of the Lord are 10 10,000 times brighter than the sun, beholding all the ways of men, and considering the most secret parts. All right? He knows you. He's watching you. But if you don't have any fear of the Lord, you're going to keep doing the things that you do. That goofy shit, man. Ecclesiasticus, let's do the good news. Just in case that didn't say it clear enough for you, which that was pretty clear to me, man. Chapter 23 and 19. Ecclesiasticus, also known as the Book of Sirach, chapter 23 and 19. For you insincere people, all right? This man is only afraid of other people. He doesn't realize that the eyes of the Lord are 10,000 times brighter than the sun, that he sees everything we do, even when we try to hide it. All right? He sees you. We see you for the most part. All right? All right? If we didn't, we wouldn't speak on it. But we speak on you insincere people. All right? We speak on you people that teach for filthy lucre. We teach on you people who are... I'm going to have to find another one. Let's see. Ezekiel. This thing stuck in my head. I just learned it last night. Let's see. I pray that it stays in my head. I learned this last night from Elder Apostle Tahar, right? What did he call it? I forget what he called it. I forget what he labeled it, but so Ezekiel 22 and 27. It's for y'all teaching that bullshit. The Lord sees it, yo. I'm telling you. This is the good news. Good News Translation, Ezekiel 22 and 27. The government officials are like wolves tearing apart the animals they have killed. They commit murder in order to get rich. All right? That's what you're doing. When you come against this truth, all right, and you interrupt people's teachings just to interject your own, when all you got to do is go start a channel. You can speak anything you want to, as loudly as you want to, as ignorantly as you want to, as disorderly as you want to. But the Lord got you showing yourself, man. You don't even realize that the Lord is putting a light on you when you come against this, all right? Let's do the King James. And then I want to see what the actually, let's save that King James. Let me see. Let me see what this NLT says. Man, turn right to the page. Oh yeah, it's right here. Look. Ezekiel 22 and 27 in the NLT. Your leaders are like wolves who tear apart their victims. They actually destroy people's lives for money. All right. And most of y'all don't even, y'all ain't even getting no money doing it. Y'all just getting the light put on your ass for free of charge. All right. Let's do King James. This actually speaks it better than than the Good News and then the NLT. Oh, okay. Here we go. King James, Ezekiel 22 and 27. Damn, the heading a few verses up in the King James says the people's corruption. So that's for you insincere, all right, and you false prophets. But right now I'm talking to you insincere people that like to come around here asking questions that you have no understanding of, really. All right. Like you asking the question like you got the answer, but you really don't. All right. And plus, you look, I'm new in this. Okay, I've said this many times. All right. So for someone who, this is what, look, I could even see you. Okay, I haven't even been in this thing 30 years. I could see what you were doing when you asked the question. All right. If it's sincere, that matters. Okay. I'm not going to answer really. I'm not going to answer you. If I don't know the answer, I'm not afraid to say I don't know the answer. Okay. That's one. I don't want to make up an answer, nor will I make up an answer. You know why? Because I have the fear of the Lord. All right. Okay. So for you to say that I answered a question with a question because I didn't know an answer, that you have no understanding. All right. And I'm new and I'm telling you this. So if you have a sincere question, all right, that you think is over my head, all right, let's say you're right. All right. Why are you asking me? Go ask someone else. All right. Ask someone that you know have been in this thing for a while. Okay. Now, Ezekiel 22 and 27. It says, her princes in the midst thereof are like wolves ravening the prey, to shed blood and destroy souls, to get dishonest gain. All right, I like that. Good looking out, Apostle Elder Tahar. Okay, Elder Apostle Tahar. Good looking out again. Good looking out to all my teachers. All right. Shalom to all my teachers. Okay. So with that, I'm gonna say again, all right, you can't say this enough. So all praise to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakaha Kwadash, double honors to my elders, apostles, and bishops of Great Millstone, where I've learned this truth and where I am still learning this truth, growing in the spirit. All right, thank you to the men through the strength and power of Yahweh and Yahweh Shai, all right, and the spirit, okay. And shalom to the sincere, all right, only the sincere, because only the remnant, which includes the elect of Israel, are going to be sincere, okay. The rest of you are just sincerely wrong, all right. But shalom to the sincere that are following this truth, all right. Shalom.